Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott, your host, and a man who is more than ready for whatever freaky virus comes out of China next. I mean, you just knew it would be them, didn't you? You know, and it's going to be like a zombie apocalypse pretty soon. It's really terrible. With me in the booth is Paul B. I envision Paul B. with a surgical mask on right now, just desperately
you're not,
trying to avoid the coronavirus.
You're not far off. I'm not actually wearing right now, but last week I was, but I am like that's why we had to start a little late, as I had a little disaster trying to make ginger tea in the office coffee maker, and the whole thing just went sideways on me.
No ginger tea in the office coffee maker. I see where you're going with that. I see where you're going.
No, it can be done. I've learned from my mistakes. I think next time we'll improve.
Oh man! Well, you know, the virus is. We're going to talk about it. And there's some winning and losing stories related to coronavirus that we should talk about. That's coming up. But I tell you, it is. It's growing, right? I mean, it's growing. And,
yeah,
and I had a mortgage guy who refinanced my house, I guess, a couple of years ago, contact me this week and say, "Hey, Scott, interest rates have dropped." And I was like, "Wow, they dropped again? That's insane." He goes, "Yeah, because everybody's scared of the virus."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "They're scared of the virus, so interest rates are dropping?" I mean, I'm trying to put that together. I'm trying to figure out what correlation that would be with to a better rate on a mortgage. Is it just fear?
Yeah, I mean, fear of an economic downturn, which is definitely coming because pretty much, I mean, I'm hearing across the board like all supply chains are being disrupted really badly because everyone depends on China for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a preemptive kind of stimulus attempt.
See, if they just wouldn't have had, you know, they traced the source of the virus. It came from, I may have reported this on a different show, but, you know, it came from a market where they, you know, sold all kinds of exotic animals as meat and that sort of thing. And just, you know, put on your common sense hat for a second. You know, there are some things that you shouldn't be eating. And there's definitely some things that you require the right amount of preparation and that kind of thing. Otherwise, you incubate all kinds of crazy viruses. Like I said, when I heard they said, "Oh, this crazy virus came out of China," I wasn't even a bit surprised. I wasn't a bit surprised. They're over there splicing DNA. Who the hell knows what? I wouldn't be surprised if they said, you know, China was messing around with some lizards, and now Godzilla is attacking Tokyo. And it's like, and be like, yeah, I know. I could see it. I could see China creating a giant, you know, a few stories tall lizard that comes and attacks, you know, cities over there. Sure.
And sprays coronavirus instead of flames.
Oh, it's a coronavirus spitting Godzilla version of Godzilla. It's, I mean, it's a terrible situation, but, you know, could have been avoided. China, bad. You're bad. You're losing. What can I tell you? Well, you guys are smart because you're tuned into the show. And let's see. Who am I? What do I do real quick? And how do you reach me? So I am a marketing consultant. I help companies win at marketing. And that includes PR, content marketing, messaging, which I talk about on the show quite a bit, all that kind of stuff. I help companies that, you know, are tired of bleeding out money on marketing and not knowing where it's going and those kind of things and do some stuff that's real and stuff that really moves the needle for them. Anyway, how do you reach me? You can hit my website at robertsoncom.com, 2 M's like communications, or you can shoot me an email to Scott, SCOTT, at robertsoncom, 2 M's.com, or you can find me on Twitter, at robertsoncom. I'm there. And also I'm on Instagram too, by the way. I'm starting to be on Instagram a little bit more. I fought it for a long time because I'm like, man, how many damn social media, channels can I run personally and just keep up with? But I'm liking Instagram a little bit more. It's owned by Facebook. Everything's owned by Facebook, by the way. WhatsApp's owned by Facebook. Instagram's owned by Facebook. Anything in social media that's meaningful is run by Facebook. So you're not, everybody's like, oh, the old people are on Facebook and all the young people are on Instagram. Yeah. You know what? Zuckerberg owns both of them, so it doesn't really matter. Pick your poison. That's what I say. But that's how you reach me. And by the way, I'm a certified story brand guy in Don Miller's story brand program. So now I use that skill set to create even better brand stories using that framework to wireframe out websites, do sales copy. It plays a great role in PR in terms of storytelling. A lot of fun. So anyway, if your marketing is stuck and that kind of thing, reach out to me. I can help get it unstuck. I enjoy doing that sort of work. It's fun. It's what I do when I'm not playing the bass, so you got to do something. So anywho, you guys are smart because you tuned into episode 148 of this program. And I call it the confusion and power of free stuff. Now that we're in full swing of political season for the primaries coming up and everything, lots of stuff is being promised as quote unquote free. Free everything, free has been used in marketing for a long time. It's been used as a marketing hook since like the caveman days when that first hairy caveman dude gave away an extra bone just for coming back to his cave, for whatever. Free has power, but it can be confusing too. And it can set some wild expectations. So we're going to talk about free. It's all about free today. And we're going to talk about when it benefits a brand and when it benefits a company and when it can hurt a company. We're also going to dig into who's winning and losing on what I will consider to be a completely free version, an amazing version of May the Best Brand Win here. You guys tuned into a good one. So let's talk about free. I think we should probably start with psychology, right? And if you're going to start with psychology, I say start with Psychology Today magazine. They wrote an interesting story called Why We Love Free Stuff Too Much. And that came out, it came out earlier this year. But so I encourage you to check that out if you want to see. But I like some of the things that they say in here. So we're gonna hit a few of these points. Free is really, really cool, but what they say is there's different reasons that account for people's bias towards free items, but it's largely emotional, right? So it plays into our, the playground where we play in branding is all about emotions, right? So a positive emotional charge is experienced when somebody is offered an unexpected gift. And this little sensation of joy is likely to impact heavily on the subsequent choice. So the chance of receiving a freebie may appear like a reward in a world where people frequently have to pay for visiting, public toilets, for example. Additionally, when offered a free item, people have lower expectations regarding its quality, and these lower standards can be easily surpassed. So, that's something that you need to know. There's a lot of psychology in this. There's an MIT paper, a Duke professor wrote a paper from MIT. He did a study of 398 MIT students and measured their reaction and their overreaction to two different products, Hershey's candies and Lindt truffles. Under normal circumstances, the study says, under normal circumstances, the Hershey's products are already significantly cheaper than the Lindt truffles, and the latter also have the air of exclusivity and cachet too. By all measures, the Lindt item has a higher value. Yet, when asked to choose between a free Hershey's product or dramatically discounted Lindt candy, a free Hershey's product or dramatically discounted Lindt candy, the vast majority of students opted for the item that was free, even if it wasn't objectively the best deal. In that study, he goes on to say the word free gives us such an emotional charge that what we perceive as being offered what is being offered is immensely more valuable than it really is. So that free is used a lot, right? I was just flipping through my inbox today, and there's buy one get one, free. It is definitely something that is pretty much everywhere in one form or another. There's also a bit of skepticism, which we're going to kind of get into. So the reason that marketers love free so much is that, no huge honking surprise here, but it works. It's worked for a long time, longer than anybody's life that's listening to this program. Guaranteed. They've been using free for a good long time. We just talked about, Psychology Today confirms it. The MIT study confirms it. There's plenty of other studies, by the way, that I didn't have time to list that confirm that there is a strong emotional attachment to free. And again, that's and like I said, you don't have to look too far to see that's why marketers like it. But free kind of has a bit of a dark side when it comes to value. So basically, let's talk about the skepticism. In this article, by the way, it talks about this is from Small Biz Today magazine, and they talk about, it's an article that's called "Use the Psychology of Free Stuff to Generate Leads." Small Business Trends. Smallbiztrends.com is where you can find that whole project going on there. But this is interesting. So it's hard to resist. It can increase sales up to 2,000%, according to their data. But there's also this thing where it is met with a great deal of skepticism. And as much as we love free stuff, we want to feel like we've earned it. From the MIT study as well, there was another blurb that says, when people pay for something, it gives those people a sense of accomplishment, pride, and ownership, meaning they will value the goods or services more and complain less. So the marketer's challenge on this is, how do we balance the power of free stuff with the problem that people won't find value in the transactions, right? So, and there's plenty of theories on sort of how to do it, but where it can get confusing again is that concept of value, that concept of if we didn't, if we're not invested that much in it, then we don't value it that much. I don't know if you've ever read the book Where the Red Fern Grows, but I always kind of think of that as like the ultimate example of basically the kid in the story is saving up for some dogs, some hunting dogs, special dogs. And he has to work for like 2 summers, like 2 years, to save the money that he needs for the dogs. So by the time that he purchases the dogs, he is not only does he love the dogs, but he's so emotionally invested because of all the work and the long path that he had to take to get there, right? Now, if somebody just came along and just dropped a couple dogs off and just said, hey, here's some free hunting dogs. Yeah, it's really awesome. You rubbed a magic lamp and poof, there's your dogs. The relationship is not the same, right? We establish the relationship based on how hard it is to get something, based on how much work we do to get something. And I think that becomes critically important, especially when we're talking about things like USC, the college up in LA, which obviously has been covered on this program for some not so flattering reasons as of late. They did a PR thing this week and said they're going to offer free tuition for anybody who makes less than $80,000 a year, and free tuition. And it kind of caught people, by surprise. Basically they just said, oh, we're trying to level the playing field and make sure that not just rich people get into USC, not just Felicity Huffman's kids and not just Lori McLaughlin's kids, but, everybody's kids will have a shot to get in there. There's a couple of things that I think are extraordinarily dangerous about how that's messaged. First of all, it sets up the expectation that college can be free. Now, this is the voice of reality coming at you here. The people at USC make a salary, right? The custodians make a salary. The parking attendants make a salary. Everybody gets paid at the school. None of those people have signed up and said, you're right, equality is really, really important, and we've decided that we're going to work for free. That isn't happening, okay? Those people all expect to get paid. They're getting paid. The money is coming from somewhere. So it's messaged really poorly. When you say free tuition, that's messaged very poorly from the beginning. And plus, colleges have been giving away free tuition for a long time. It's called a scholarship. Right? But instead of saying, oh, it's free tuition and this is like a mea culpa because we're all guilty about only rich people getting into our school, it's messaged completely incorrectly. What they should have said was, we're expanding our scholarship program. We're excited about having some new faces, come in here, in here, and we're excited about these new requirements for our scholarship program. I mean, message it around that instead of setting up the expectation that college is free. It is not free. There are a lot of zeros behind you saying the word college, and whether you got a scholarship or not, somebody has got to pay the bill, right? Somebody's there paying. So I just don't like that. I just don't like that messaging. I don't like when political candidates say, "Oh, well, college should be free." It's like, well, then should everybody work for free? It sets up this crazy fairy tale fantasy land bullcrap idea that things don't cost anything. And then if you're USC, if you give away free tuition, remember we talked about the two dogs from where the red fern grows? If you don't work for it, if you didn't, then do you really appreciate it at the same level as somebody who, just blood, sweat, and tears to make their tuition and get in there? I think you've got a real branding issue around the idea of value, and you have a real danger of devaluing some of the USC brand, which is a strong brand, especially here in Southern California. I think you run a real danger of that. I think the whole thing is messaged poorly. I think it sets the wrong expectations. I think in a day and age where you have political candidates basically saying, well, I'll say anything to get elected, no matter how completely stupid and off the, off the planet it's going to be. There's no such thing as free. There's not going to be anything such thing as free as long as people need to get paid for their work, And you don't want it anyway because it devalues the brand that you're talking about. That's some of the confusion and power around free stuff. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing this week. See you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott, your host, hanging out, talking about free stuff. Paul, you like free stuff? Do you like free stuff, or do you
I do
not
like
value it as much?
No, I like free stuff. For sure.
Trade shows, man. Trade shows like the NAMM show. You got any free stuff at the NAMM show? I mean, they give you picks, they'll give you candy, they'll give you strings.
I have the usual problem with NAMM is I don't have any time to actually walk around and do stuff and explore too much. I was kind of running around the whole time. So yeah, didn't really score anything.
Didn't score anything.
No, pretty lame.
I got this a couple years ago. I got this cool water bottle from WordPress. And it's a really good quality water bottle. I still use it. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Just got to say. So
stay hydrated out there.
Exactly. And I'm a WordPress user, so I was like, yeah, man, damn right. I'll take a WordPress water bottle. Why not?
Why not?
Why not, indeed. Well, this show, we're talking about the confusion and power around free stuff. Here in segment 2, as is our custom, we're going to take a break from the topic and dive into who's winning and losing. Let's start with Princess Cruises. So, Princess Cruises, their president this week she was greeting people that were disembarking from the coronavirus-stricken ship off the coast of Japan. And she was making a heart gesture and blowing kisses to them. On the same day, it emerged that 2 passengers had died from the disease. Right? Yeah. So, video posted to the company's Twitter account late Wednesday shows Jan Schwartz forming a heart over her head as she faced the Diamond Princess ship, which had been docked in Yokohama port for weeks. In the photo, this is the problem. She's wearing a white surgical mask over her nose and mouth, and she's blowing kisses and with like a heart, over her head, heart gesture over her head. So she's been accused of kind of being tone deaf, for doing this and those kind of things. Here's what I'll say. Definitely losing because you don't want to draw any additional attention to yourself. You have an unfortunate incident where people are being quarantined to the ship with coronavirus and that kind of thing. You want to make that story as just bare bones and clear. You don't want to add to that by doing anything stupid. And we're firmly in the category of the president doing something stupid in public, as the passengers are disembarking. Now, I've been thinking about this, and it's like if you're sitting there and it's your decision, and you say we're going to have the president there or we're not going to have the president there to greet the folks, I see the logic of having the president there, but if it's announced that 2 people on board the ship have died, you don't want to be you don't want to be the happy person at a funeral. You understand what I'm saying? It draws the wrong kind of attention to you, and then it makes a lot of work for your PR team. Your team has to figure out. There's all these photos of her with her hands above her head and the surgical mask on. Bad image. Anybody in PR, we're familiar with this concept called optics, right? And no matter what your intentions are, we tend to form our opinions of people, of events, and those kind of things based on kind of things that we see. So you don't want to have a visual of your president with a surgical mask on with the logo behind you and that kind of thing. Honestly, you want to play that down as much as you can. Not that you want to hide or anything else, but you certainly don't want to be out there feeding this fire at this level. That's all kinds of losing, folks. That's not smart PR. That's not the smart way to do it. Seems like the cruise industry has, man, they do a lot of extraordinarily impressively stupid things. And this is another one to add onto that pile. So Princess Cruises definitely losing for their behavior of their president, and how she allowed herself to be captured on photos and video is just terrible. McDonald's is. Did you know they sell merchandise? Besides, obviously, they sell food, but they sell, and I saw this on Mashable this week. They sell a beef scented candle. I'll say that again, just in case you got it. So they have a beef scented candle. Actually, they have a box set of candles that one of them is called bun, one of them is called ketchup, one of them is called pickle, one of them is called cheese, one of them is called onion, and then the last one's called 100% fresh beef. And it's a quarter pounder candle pack that they, sell, and it's like a real thing. It was really, really funny. So,
Scott, please,
sir,
shut up and take my money now.
You want it.
I want it.
You want it. Just you can go to McDonald's apparently and find the thing. Golden Arches Unlimited, their official merch site, recommends burning the candle burning the candles as a set for maximum deliciousness. I got to say winning. I mean, I got to say winning because, it's like, who the hell who would ever think of making a candle that smells like a quarter pounder and all of the various things that go into a quarter pounder. So I got to say points for creativity, huge points for creativity. And I'm incredibly curious as to what these things smell like. Am I going to buy one? I don't know. But, there are holidays and people are like, well, what do you want? Well, I don't know. I don't need anything. Well, I'm like, but maybe I need a set of 3 McDonald's candles to burn at the same time. I'll keep you posted to see if I end up buying it. There's a really cool new canned water company that I really like their marketing, and I want to give them a shout out. It's called Liquid Death Mountain Water. And basically, they got $9 million. They raised $9 million this week. They were on TechCrunch, and basically, it's like they use like heavy metal branding and stuff to make water cool. And their marketing is really, really solid. Check out Liquid Death's website. It's really cool. Their promise is to murder your thirst. And then basically it's like tall boys of water. And they said they're trying to create a brand that's healthy and sustainable while being just as exciting, if not more than exciting, than energy drinks, soda, alcohol, and candy, which is why they have the murder your thirst tagline and a really tongue-in-cheek, like heavy metal approach to marketing, very aggressive art, that kind of thing. And they've got a new Keep the Underworld Beautiful campaign that asks customers to save hell itself from plastic bottles. I mean, just really creative and fun things. And it's like, check out what you can do with water, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. And so definitely all kinds of winning. And it kind of makes you want to go, well, maybe I'll get a case of the Liquid Death Mountain Water. I mean, it sounds, once they start pushing this stuff and you can find it like the grocery store. I thought it was cool. So be sure to go check that out and be on the lookout for that. And then at your next party, you'll be hammering some water, but it looks like an energy drink and again has the Liquid Death brand associated with it. Winning, all kinds of winning. Pier 1 Imports is losing. They just filed Chapter 11 as they continue to look for a buyer. How would you describe Pier 1 Imports? I always describe it as the store my wife goes into, and I'm not completely sure what's contained inside it. She always loved the Pier 1 Imports. I think it's stuff for the house, or it's maybe it's like I want to say it's like things that are made out of wicker or rattan, kind of type of things. But anyway, what are you going to say? I think it's is it a furniture store? Is it like a decorating store? I don't know. I mean, I'm not the right person to ask, but anyway, Pier 1 Imports filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Also losing and filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the Boy Scouts of America. This week announced in the face of declining membership and a drumbeat of child sexual abuse allegations. They are doing the Chapter 11 filing in Delaware bankruptcy court overnight. Just a quick editorial note on this. So I was a Boy Scout. I was an Eagle Scout. It taught me a lot of really good things. It taught me a lot of really important things that I think maybe kids today aren't taught. First of all, I was a Boy Scout in Missouri, and I remember that we used to go do these service projects, like clearing a big field, a big like wheat field, and we like had to clear it with like a big hook-shaped knife, like a sickle kind of thing. And, and then, so you'd work for like, and I mean, Missouri's hot, right? So it's like July and you're out there working in the fields, right? Not for money, but, just for doing these acts of kind of service. And then like you'd get like a stale cheese sandwich and like a cookie or something like that. And they'd say, get back to work, kids. My brother always used to joke with me and say that it's like slave labor for kids who haven't realized yet that they can get paid for doing stuff. But I will tell you that I'm a hard worker. One of the reasons that I'm a hard worker, and I'm not a quitter, right? If something gets hard, I kind of like that. I kind of like the challenge. I will double down, and I will push through it no matter what. And I think one of the reasons for that is my background in scouting. Because when it gets, hard, scouting teaches you, that's when you kind of find out what you're made of and see, how far you can kind of push it. I learned that from scouting. I learned that, I learned a lot of things. I'm not a big outdoors person. However, and this may surprise some people, but I know how to tie all the knots. I know how to make a fire. Like if I was, let out of a car, in the middle of the woods and the mountains, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would be just fine. I would be just friggin' fine. I know my way around that stuff at levels that would blow you away and completely surprise you, because of doing it at an early age. I don't do a lot of camping or hunting and fishing and that kind of thing. I'm a musician. I play with my band most of the time, and otherwise I'm running my company or I'm doing this show. I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of stuff like that, but I could, I really could. And, I think one of the biggest things that the Boy Scouts, taught me was to stick with things, was to stick with, what you're trying to do, even when things get hard, to stick with things. And one thing that I have noticed about the younger generation is they quit things really fast. They quit really fast. If it gets a little bit hard, they're gone. They're done. They're out. And scouting, like I said, was a big help for me, to learn how to stick with things. So anyway, it's a shame. I think it's a real shame about the Boy Scouts. And I think, they haven't handled the communications around it in a super great way either. They, I don't know. They just haven't. They haven't handled their image and that kind of thing in a good way. And now it looks like they're, according almost all the stories about their bankruptcy, are immediately tied to, child sex abuse cases, and they don't even like fight back on that and even talk about the fact that, there's, 275 abuse lawsuits in state and federal courts currently, plus another 1,400 potential claims. But I see ads on TV that say, from attorneys that say, if you were abused by the Catholic Church or by the Boy Scouts of America, we want to hear about it because we're putting together these kind of suits. So it's like, how much of it is real and how much of it is just opportunistic? Let's try to get some money kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know, but their communications needs to be managed a little bit better. They need to use the opportunity, instead of every story being about abuse and everything, they need to use the opportunity to say what they stand for and be able to kind of put some of their story out there. And they don't do that very well in anything that I've seen. And by the way, this is when you want to have a good PR team, because you're able to get into every one of those stories and you're able to push, your own, story points as well. And I think, like that, for example, I don't think a lot of people know that there are attorneys that advertise nationally to try to get people to come out, and try to get some money out of this, right? So I don't know. I just think that's an element of the story that needs to be in there. But the Boy Scouts are losing, certainly for now. And I think it's a shame. The world needs them. The world needs them. We got our new generation of millennials. You guys are quitters, and you guys are weak. You're weak and you're quitters. And I think it's because you didn't have the Boy Scouts, to be quite honest. And you need it. You need it. It's sad. Coca-Cola has this really cool design campaign that I wanted to mention. They have this campaign called Feel, where this is what you can do when you have kind of an iconic brand like Coca-Cola, right? You can get by with so very little when it comes to communicating the message. And they have this new outdoor campaign from Publicis Italy that uses nothing but the brand's red and white palette, the logo, and a little bit of copy to remind customers that they want to reach out and grab a Coke, right? But you have to see it. And I would recommend just checking out adage.com for this one. But they basically can show you the bottle. They basically just have red background and curves as if it's wrapped around the distinctive bottle shape. And the 2-word sentence above says, feel it. And I think that's pretty, it's pretty awesome, I have to say, because you really can feel the fact that there's a bottle there, even though it's not really there, right? And we always talk about, branding being about sort of an emotional transference, being able to kind of do that. Coca-Cola is able to do that so expertly in this campaign. They're able to sort of get you to, when I saw it, I can see something that I could feel like I could reach out and touch that isn't really there, right? So where is it, right? It's in my mind, and they're able to activate that with this amazing design. I thought it was really, really cool. And that's who's winning and losing this week, folks. Come on back, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate free into your marketing, but do it in the right way. See you in a few.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm Scott, still your host, here in segment 3, hanging out with Paul. He's cleaned up his tea that he made a mess with earlier. What'd you like about winning and losing this week, Paul? You obviously want the candle.
I definitely want the candle. That sounds to me. It's like you walk into McDonald's and you're like, oh yeah, it smells like home. And your place could smell like that all the time.
Dude, there's like 6 candles burned at the same time. People will be like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's a complete olfactory train wreck. I'm not completely sure.
It sounds like a really dumb idea, but
you want it.
But intriguing enough to like, the kind of thing like, like throwing Mentos in a Coke bottle. Like it's a dumb idea, but like you can't not do it.
Do you guys at Entertalk ever do like a white elephant Christmas gift exchange where you're supposed to bring something kind of like a gag gift or goofy?
No.
Tell me the McDonald's quarter pounder thing would not be perfect for a white elephant gift exchange.
There you go.
You'd win it for sure because people would be like, they'd be so curious, because your best white elephant gifts are the ones that people are fighting over and and everybody's trying to steal it's always fun to do that.
We should send a set to the CEO of Princess Cruise Lines.
Oh my God. So many bad photos of her. I was just shaking my head. I was like, come on, don't let yourself get photographed that way. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Indeed, it's a question that you can ask a lot of companies a lot of the time. One quick bonus one while we're talking. I want to talk about the Astros real quick. So it's been like 3 weeks since the Houston Astros owner, Jim Crane, kind of assured the public that his team would apologize for their sign stealing scandal. You've heard of this one already, right? But here at the start of spring training, basically Jim Crane got to roll out this plan. He kind of did then there were some statements from players and that kind of thing. But it was super awkward. It was super bad, and it was super not. I mean, doing a press conference and apologizing has been done by people at a very high level, for a long time now, right? So why don't you just pull the tape of some of the ones that were good and just do that? I mean, even if you don't have, you would think you'd have some PR counsel in the room or in the building, but apparently not. It was, I tell you what, it was bad on a couple of levels. As we talked about on this show, and we've had crisis folks on this show to talk about this kind of stuff. But the bottom line for me is the fact is, you disappointed and a lot of people, right? And to just not acknowledge that and just not even, acknowledge your role in it shows me that you were, it's like you're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught, right? Kind of thing. And so it's like when you apologize, the first thing that people want to see is, do you understand that you did something wrong? And what is your plan to make sure that nothing like that happens again? And then if if people believe you when you say, then you start to kind of win back some trust, that kind of thing, right? But none of that happened here. This was just all kinds of losing. And for an organization, you got to know there's somebody that handles, a PR crisis somewhere in the organization. Why don't you talk to that person? Why don't you bring in some public relations counsel to, manage this situation? That's what we do. Nobody wants to deal with a situation like this one, but that's what we're supposed to be able to do, to educate people about, the dumb things that they're getting ready to do. Anyway, I'll get off that subject, but I'm just going to say it's a bonus one that was losing that I wanted to mention. But let's turn to segment 3 here, and let's talk about how to incorporate free. This whole episode has been about free stuff, right? The confusion and really the power of free stuff. So I want to tell you how a few tricks on how you can incorporate free stuff into your marketing the right way. The first way is when you can tie whatever you're giving away for free to value, right? We talked about one of the dangers of giving something away is the fact that people don't appreciate it. They don't value it. You take away their, emotional feelings and that sort of thing about what they had to earn to get it. You know what I mean? How there's kind of skin in the game kind of thing. You take that away. But if you can add additional value and to your and tie it into your brand story in some way, then that can be a really good thing. Also, if you can create like kind of a little bit of a reciprocity thing to where maybe there's not a monetary investment, but there is sort of a commitment. They talk about that a little bit in one of these in the article from Small Biz Trends. They talk about content upgrades, and it's with so much that's free on the internet. It's unlikely anybody's going to pay for your content, but people will give you their email address and their permission to be marketed to, as long as you've got something that they want. Right. And you've seen that before. You've seen, hey, exclusive bonus, download the step-by-step checklist of yada, 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 or this. I put this entire tutorial in video form and here you go. Or hey, I can, those kind of things. That's what's called a content upgrade. Right. And the balance of paying with your email address to getting something for free can be really, really strong. Backlinko is a company and they increased conversions by 785% in one day just by, being able to do that. BloggerJet's Tim Solo said he increased conversions by 300% over the course of a month. In the Story Brand program, we talk about, creating like a lead generating, PDF, something like that, something that you can tie to value, and that's a great way to incorporate free into your marketing strategy. Likewise, we talked about content upgrades, but the second way is obviously when you want something from them, so we just talked about that a little bit. What do we want from them? Maybe we want an email address. Maybe we want the right and consent and permission to market to somebody. I'll tell you what, if somebody asked me permission to market to me, I am about 1,000 times more likely to give it to them if they are courteous and they ask for permission to market me, as opposed to people, the other side of that fence is people who just email you because they got your name, they bought it from somebody else, and it's like, we don't have a relationship and that sort of thing. Or, even worse, it's like, I get, I have a robocall blocker on my phone, and just in terms of consent to communications, that kind of thing. I have a robocall blocker on my phone. AT&T is supposed to block robocalls for me. I still get, 3 or 4 at least. I still get 3 or 4, communications, text messages, voicemails, calls from people I don't know, that kind of thing, every single day. And it's like, you don't have permission to communicate to me. You don't have permission. You shouldn't be communicating to me. It's like, so, just kind of getting back to incorporating free in there, if you want something from them, like their email address, then that's a good time to, give them something, quote unquote, for free that they just have to give their email address to you, that kind of thing. Another good way to incorporate free is when the time window is limited. And you see this on like buy one, get one type of things. If you can show kind of a limited time window and be able to do that, then free can make a lot of sense, right? That's what, basically you're not always giving something for free, but you've got a limited, period of time, kind of a limited launch window or something when you're going to give something away for free and that kind of thing. And that really inspires people to action, right? We talk about, conversions and people and that kind of thing. That, we have that, human beings have that. We have that thing where we're like, yeah, let's dig into that, let's dig into it. and see what we can do within that time window, and let's do it. Tip number 4, and I think StoryBrand is really good at doing this, by the way. When you're leading up to a product launch window and you want people to sort of get used to hearing from you, because you have a relationship with them, right? You have a relationship with this audience. You have consent to communicate. And so let's say you're leading up to a launch or something like that. And then you can schedule ways to do free so that people, like, again, they kind of sort of get used to hearing from you. And StoryBrand is a great example of how that works, why that works, that kind of thing. So I think that's another good way to use free. And the last one that I had down was, obviously, if your brand has done something you screwed up, airlines famous for this one, then it's appropriate to give away something for free. Not that it's necessarily expected and that sort of thing, not really getting into that. But you see airlines do that. If your flight's late, they'll give you a free voucher. If they're, if something has been kind of, messed up on their end, then they'll give people free drinks. Hotels will do that too. If your stay is messed up, then we'll give you a credit. We'll give you rewards points. We will certainly give you things. And again, that kind of dual thing of, the value proposition that we're talking about isn't in play here, right? Because you've messed up, and the free thing is going to be, kind of a apology, for lack of a better word. It's going to be kind of an apology. So, and speaking of, maybe the Houston Astros could give away some free stuff and make it all better. But I think first, on the Houston Astros thing, you got to apologize and mean it, and then you can give away free stuff, that kind of thing. But I think that those are certainly some ways that you can do free and do them in in the right way. One of the crucial questions, one of the crucial questions about free is, at what point do the hidden costs sort of outweigh the objective value of what you're giving away for free? And is it really rational, to walk all the way across town to receive a free pack of gum or something? It's like, it's really, you need to understand the kind of the hidden downside, which can reduce some attractiveness, right? You need to understand, like for example, YouTube content is free, for the most part. I mean, they have pricing examples and those kind of things, but and people and everybody loves YouTube, right? And of course, we will watch the video. We will sort of tolerate the big advertising led strategy, in order to get the free content that we want. We've taught people in this world that content is free. We've taught them the reason that we're in the problem area that we're in with journalism. The journalism trade has, it's shrunk so much, so much media consolidation, through the Great Recession. Like I said, PR people now outnumber working journalists 6-1 in the newsrooms. And that's terrible. I mean, that's a terrible thing. They've really declined in their numbers. But the reason for that is the fact that the audience, over a period of time, just started saying, well, I guess news is free. I mean, we're not willing to pay for news anymore. We're not willing to subscribe to the paper, but we'll go online and we'll certainly take their content. And a business, cannot operate that way and cannot pay people that way, and that for very long. And that's why they end up running out of money, and that's why they end up getting bought up, and that's why 6 companies now run 96% of the media outlets in the United States of America. Because, nobody was watching, and all these companies just sort of snapped them up under different subsidiaries and that kind of thing. And that's really bad. That's really bad on a lot of levels. It's really bad to have fewer choices. It's extraordinarily dangerous for democracy to be able to, it's extraordinarily dangerous for our country to have so few choke points to really kind of push it, any type of narrative, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, you'd want to have that. But so it's it's a shame, really. But a lot of people don't understand that, we have seen the enemy and the enemy is us. We are responsible for turning our backs on paying for content. I guess content must be free and that kind of thing. And so, it's just, music is another thing too, by the way. For a while there, there was kind of a perception that, well, if I can, rip it off with some kind of digital means or something like that thing, then I guess music is free and I don't have to pay for it and that kind of thing. And I mean, and it almost destroyed the music industry completely until streaming services were able to say, well, what will people pay, a certain amount of money per month to stream, all the songs that they want, in their library and that kind of thing, and it's a good thing they did, like I said, because, what happens is artists aren't able to make a living. Some artists will still tell you that they can't make a living and that sort of thing. But that's just, it's just another thing that, we sort of consider to be free. But there, from a marketing perspective, just to kind of bring this to a point, there are some hidden costs that sort of reduce the attractiveness. But if you stick to the tips that I've given here to tie to things to value, to make sure that you use it when you also want something from them, not necessarily something monetary, but like an email address, or also when the time limit window can be limited, or when you want people to get used to hearing from you is another good one, or of course when you screw it up. Those are good times to use free. So what have we learned? We know that there isn't any such thing as a free lunch, but marketers still love using free in the right way to build brand value, generate reciprocity, that kind of thing. Like anything powerful, there's a right way and a wrong way to use free in marketing. And believe me when I tell you that knowing the difference will separate the winners and losers out there. That's it for me, folks. I'll be back next week with a fresh show. Have a great weekend. Take it easy. Bye-bye. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?